It was just a normal morning, coffee brewing, phones buzzing, nobody expecting the world to tilt slightly before lunchtime. The date was December 26th, 2025, a quiet Friday that didn't look dangerous at all. Somewhere in Beijing, a government website quietly uploaded a statement. No sirens, no flashing red alerts. The headline said Sanctions, but nothing about war, missiles, or tanks, just words on a screen. As people scrolled down, something felt strange. Because this didn't read like a normal diplomatic warning. Instead of countries, there were company names listed carefully, one after another. Then came personal names, real people, not faceless entities, highlighted in black and white. The punishment was clear. Assets frozen, business banned, borders suddenly closed to them. No trials, no debates, just a decision already made, published, and irreversible. At that moment, the message wasn't economic, it felt personal, almost deliberate. It wasn't about money yet, it was about names being spoken out loud. And that's when the real question quietly appeared. Why these names and why now? At first glance, it looked like China was punishing American weapons makers. Nothing new there. But then you look closer, and the picture starts to crack in uncomfortable ways. These weren't random companies. They were major defense names everyone in Washington recognizes. Some build bombers, others build sensors, others write the software that connects everything together. And one of them wasn't even old-school defense, but a Silicon Valley-style military startup. Here's the strange part, though. None of these companies actually sell weapons to China. No fighter jets, no missiles, no artillery contracts, nothing like that at all. Some barely do any business in China, especially on the defense side. So if China isn't losing weapons or money, what exactly is this punishment about? This wasn't about trade disputes or tariffs. It felt like something else entirely. It felt like a warning, carefully worded, but aimed very precisely. Not to Washington officials directly, but to people standing slightly behind them. To understand why, we have to rewind the clock just 1 week. Because the real story didn't start in Beijing, it started somewhere else. Let's go back to December 18th, when another announcement quietly changed everything. The United States approved an $11.1 billion weapons package for Taiwan. That number sounds huge, the kind that makes people imagine jets and aircraft carriers. But when you open the list, none of those dramatic weapons are there. No fighter jets, no bombers, no symbols of power flying across the sky. Instead, the list feels oddly practical, almost boring at first glance. And that's when you realize all these weapons are thinking about the same moment. The moment troops try to cross the Taiwan Strait under fire and confusion. That crossing is slow, exposed, and incredibly dangerous even before anyone fires back. So the first weapons are designed to strike from far away, before anyone lands. Rockets that can hit ports, staging areas, and supply lines before the battle begins. The idea isn't heroics, it's removing the battlefield itself. But planners know some forces might still make it across anyway, and that's where cheap, portable weapons start waiting on the shore. Missiles designed for ambushes, not parades, fired by small teams hiding everywhere. Quantity matters here more than beauty or technological elegance. Then comes the part most people forget, the networks connecting everything together. Sensors, maps, and data links turning scattered fighters into a single nervous system. Without that network, weapons are blind, isolated, and inefficient. With it, even small forces become overwhelming and relentless. This package doesn't promise victory, it promises pain at the very beginning. And that's exactly why it scared Beijing far more than flashy fighter jets ever could. China responded with a familiar phrase it uses whenever Taiwan comes up. Taiwan, they said, is the core of China's core interests. People often imagine a red line as something that triggers instant war, and yeah, but that's not how modern red lines usually work anymore. A red line today is more about consequences than explosions. Cross it and your name gets written down somewhere official. Not shouted on television, but quietly circulated through bureaucratic systems. For individuals, it means travel stops and assets freeze overnight. For companies, it means doors closing without warning. No bombs, no soldiers, just rules suddenly enforced. This wasn't punishment for the past, it was instruction for the future. A way of saying, this is how far you're allowed to go. And beyond this point, consequences become very personal. That's what made this sanctions list feel so deliberate. It wasn't shouting, it was drawing a line with names attached. China could have gone much further if it really wanted to hurt the United States. It could have targeted entire corporations, supply chains, even civilian industries. But instead, it chose a very specific slice of each company. Defense divisions, not commercial airplanes, not consumer technology. That wasn't weakness, it was calculation. Beijing wanted to send a message without collapsing everything else. Escalation scares markets, allies, and partners on all sides. Precision pressure keeps control while still drawing attention. It's like tapping someone's shoulder instead of throwing a punch. The pain is limited, but the meaning is unmistakable. This wasn't about revenge, it was about boundaries. A reminder that escalation is always a choice, not an accident. And choices once made are hard to take back. That careful balance defines how modern power is exercised today. On paper, the targets were American companies and executives. But the audience was much bigger than just the United States. Defense companies in Europe were definitely paying attention. So were startups thinking about military contracts with Taiwan. Even countries watching quietly from the sidelines took notes. This was about shaping behavior before decisions are made, making future cooperation feel risky, complicated, and personal. The cost isn't immediate, it accumulates over time. Higher insurance, higher political risk, harder calculations everywhere. All without firing a single shot. That's the quiet power of modern deterrence. There were no explosions that day, no emergency broadcasts, no sirens in the streets. Nobody died, and most people didn't even notice anything had changed. But behind the scenes, calculations started shifting everywhere, right? In Taipei, in Washington, in boardrooms and ministries around the world. People began asking how much safety is worth and who should pay for it. Some would say this kept the peace. Others say it made war more likely. So here's the real question after hearing this story today. Did that quiet list of names make the world safer or just more fragile?